Something changed in the housing market over the last 20 years. And most people still think it's just inflation. It isn't. The price didn't just change. Ownership itself did. In 1970, the path to the middle class followed a simple equation. The average American home cost roughly $24,000. The average household income was around $9,000. A house cost about 3 times your annual salary. Today, that same equation has stretched beyond recognition. In 2026, the average home price has crossed $500,000 while median income has struggled to keep pace. We are now living in a 10 times salary economy. But price alone isn't the real story. The deeper shift is structural. Last week, we audited how ownership changed in software and digital tools. Today, we're looking at housing, the traditional foundation of middle-class wealth. This isn't just about rising rent. It's about how the engine that once built family wealth is being quietly re-engineered. And the biggest buyers today are not families. For decades, real estate was person to person. A family sold a home to another family. Today, many buyers are no longer individuals. They are institutions operating with scale advantages. You may hear large names like BlackRock or Vanguard, but the shift is broader. Private equity firms, hedge funds, and real estate investment trusts are engaging in bulk buying, purchasing dozens or hundreds of properties at once. The implications are mathematical. 1. All cash offers. Institutions can close deals in days without mortgage approvals. A first-time buyer with inspections and financing cannot compete at the same speed. 2. Yield strategy. To a corporation, a house is not just shelter, it is a yield-bearing asset. Overpaying slightly today can still generate rental returns for decades. 3. Zip code concentration. When a single entity owns a large share of homes in one suburb, it influences rental pricing floors. This isn't a conspiracy. It's market optimization at scale. It's like a supermarket buying every apple before the farmer's market opens. The fruit still exists, but the choice changes. But ownership isn't just shifting who buys houses. It's changing what a house even is. This is where housing intersects with the subscription economy. We are entering an era where homes increasingly include digital infrastructure layers. On the surface, this brings convenience. But the hidden outcome lies in operating costs. Your smart lock may require a service plan. Your EV charger may run on a network subscription. Solar panels may be leased under long-term agreements. Security cameras may charge cloud storage fees. Historically, owning a home meant paying taxes, insurance, and repairs. Now, ownership can also mean paying digital access fees for features built into the structure itself. You are no longer just maintaining a building. You are maintaining an ecosystem. And ecosystems are expensive to leave. Buying the house used to mean owning the keys. Now, sometimes you're renting the software. For over 80 years, home equity served as the primary wealth engine for the middle class. It functioned like a forced savings account. Each mortgage payment transferred money from your cash account into your equity account. But when ownership declines and long-term renting rises, the direction of wealth changes. When an institution owns the property, the tenant contributes toward the mortgage through rent. But the institution accumulates the equity. Maintenance costs are absorbed through rental increases. But appreciation benefits the owner. Tax advantages tied to mortgage interest disappear for renters. The result isn't the disappearance of wealth. It's the movement of wealth. Rent is a treadmill. A mortgage is a staircase. Both require effort. But only one changes your elevation. And this shift isn't isolated to one country. Let's run a simplified scenario. Two individuals begin their careers at age 30 in 2026. The first rents an apartment at $2,000 per month. The second purchases a modest home with a $2,300 mortgage. After 15 years, both have spent over $350,000. The difference is not the monthly payment. The difference is asset direction. One individual owns a physical structure that may appreciate. The other owns records of transactions, receipts of access. This is not a judgment. It is simply the mathematics of equity flow. This transition is not isolated to one country. Major urban centers across the world, London, Toronto, Sydney, Phoenix, show similar patterns. Rising property valuations, increased investor participation, and expanding rental populations. While economic conditions differ, the underlying force is consistent. Capital flows toward essential assets during uncertainty. Why now? In periods of inflation and uncertainty, investors prioritize essential assets, housing, utilities, infrastructure. These assets produce consistent demand regardless of economic cycles. We are not entering a world without ownership. We are entering a rent-dominant economy where ownership becomes more concentrated and more strategic. The shift is not ideological. It is financial. Capital flows toward stability. And housing has historically been one of the most stable assets in existence. Several common beliefs surround housing. Myth 1. Renting is always cheaper. Reality. Renting may reduce short-term risk, but it rarely builds long-term equity. Myth 2. Institutions own most homes. Reality. In most regions, individual ownership still dominates, but institutional concentration is rising in key zip codes. Myth 3. Smart homes save money automatically. Reality. Convenience and cost efficiency are not always aligned. The housing market is not defined by absolutes. It is defined by trade-offs. Looking forward, several trends are emerging. Fractional ownership platforms allow individuals to own percentages of properties rather than entire homes. Co-living developments prioritize shared amenities over private square footage. Satellite cities are gaining appeal as remote work reduces geographic dependence. And subscription-style housing services are layering digital costs onto physical shelter. The next decade is unlikely to eliminate ownership. It will diversify what ownership means. There is another layer rarely discussed: the psychology of postponement. Many households delay buying not because they lack income, but because the entry barrier feels overwhelming. Student loans. job instability, urban migration, lifestyle inflation. Ownership becomes something people plan for later. But later often compounds into never. The longer ownership is delayed, the longer equity has to grow for someone else. So how do individuals respond? 1. The tier strategy. Ownership in smaller or emerging cities may build stronger equity than perpetual renting in high-demand metros. 2. The analog advantage. Homes not locked into proprietary digital services offer greater long-term control. 3. The credit shield. Borrowing capacity is a strategic asset. Using it for appreciating assets instead of depreciating luxuries changes lifetime outcomes. 4. The community model. Cooperative housing and land trusts allow individuals to achieve scale collectively. 5. The patience principle. Waiting for perfection often costs more than starting imperfectly. The system naturally trends toward recurring revenue. The audit is about identifying where ownership still exists and making deliberate decisions around it. Because the next 20 years will not just change where people live. They will change who builds wealth and who funds it. The goal is not simply to live somewhere. The goal is to understand where your payments are building equity and where they are not. This was the housing audit.